Morning, everybody. My head's bobbing. I was sitting there singing the theme tune in the build-up to the show. I'm definitely in a weird mood today. I've got no idea why. But look, good morning to everybody. We're here to talk mainly about Jadon Sancho after stories came out yesterday from Fabrizio Romano and Matt Law from The Telegraph that Jadon Sancho, look, this January exit has felt inevitable for some time. Don't think he started a game in the Premier League for Manchester United since August. It's a sad fall from grace of what's happened. And we don't need to debate that this morning, but we're going to just have a conversation around the January transfer window, around Jadon Sancho, and a little bit of a, what do you expect? I want to get your opinions on what you think might actually happen in the January transfer window. Of course, it's kind of hard to predict a little bit right now because we don't actually know what the ownership structure of our club is going to be. But I'm going to speak through that. I'm going to speak through more mounting injury problems. I swear to God, it kind of feels like a joke at this stage, but it's not a joke. It's deadly serious. We'll run through that. We'll run through plenty of other talking points. I did a video yesterday on Ten Hag and the mad stuff that comes out in the media about him. And you can let me know what you think in the comments below, as you always do. Who's here from the member gang? Let's have a look. Stu, John, you're there. We've got Robert, Carl, as always. Saeed, Siegs, off-key. We've got Kenny, James, Al, Cheesy Chips. There's a lot of food-related members on this channel. We've got garlic bread man, we've got cheese chips, we've got potato. It's got like a whole some sort of food army. I'm hungry now. Brian, Richard, you're there as well, and Sam man. On Facebook, we've got Philip watching from Chesterfield. Good morning to you. Short Carly, K-Man. We've got Suana. I think you got Suana. Mick Rogers. Good morning to everybody. Look at that. Oh, what a long intro. Oh, remember who? I can't remember who that was. There was somebody who got annoyed because I always gave always try and give shout outs to members and people who watch on Facebook as well. Got someone down there. Is it Johnny saying you put a super chat in yesterday? You missed it. Did you? Oh, you might. Well, I must have done. I didn't think I ever missed super chats. Sorry about that, dude. Just send in a usual comment. I'll try and spot your name down there. Now, something that happened yesterday, which was extremely poignant, was Sir Bobby Charlton was given the send-off, had his own memorial service in Manchester, and his funeral procession passed Old Trafford, where Manchester United fans got the opportunity to say their final goodbyes to Sir Bobby Charlton. And yeah, it was a very poignant moment, really. I don't know what other way to describe it. It was just everybody got their chance to say goodbye to Sir Bobby. Plenty of former Reds were there. Ashley Young was there. Roy Keane was there. Nicky Butt was there. Michael Carrick was there. Solskjaer was there. So Alex Ferguson was there. Erik Ten Hag wasn't there because of unbreakable commitments. And I've seen some people talking about that and trying to, I don't know. Ten Hag, if it's unbreakable and Ten Hag has that, then that's Ten Hag. I was a little bit surprised. I'll be honest. I was a little bit surprised that the likes of Bruno wasn't, that club captain Bruno wasn't there. I know he's gone away on international duty, so that'll be the reason why. It probably is the reason why. But yeah, it was. I said it yesterday. I don't think there will ever be a Manchester United player who is more Manchester United than Sir Bobby Charlton. You know full well the dissertation I did on Munich air disaster. So I really, really did a lot of research at the time. I've read Sir Bobby's biography, did a lot of research as well. He was somebody who was quite, he ended up getting a little bit of survivor guilt after the Munich air disaster, because he's like, why is it that I've survived when everyone else has died? But 10 years after that, he came through and captained Manchester United to our first European trophy against Benfica in 1968. We'll always have the Sir Bobby Charlton stand. We'll always have him, and yeah, he's the. I just think he's the greatest ever. I don't know how to describe it. For want of a better phrase, it's like the greatest ever story. How he started, he came through with the Busby Babes. He survived the greatest tragedy that would ever fall on our club and came through that, and then captained our club, and then just, yeah, man, he's an icon. He really is. So it was cool to see so many people giving him the right send-off. 1 second, then there's somebody spamming people on Facebook. Let me quickly block that. See you later. Sorry about that. But look, let me see what you're saying in the comments. Jason saying Sir Bobby was the epitome of Manchester United. He's United's greatest ever son, says Garlic Bread Man. The epitome of United, says Josh. I think that's exactly what he is, man. He is absolutely the epitome of Manchester United. And it was good to see him getting such a, as I said, a poignant send-off. What I want to do now is move on to speak about injuries at Manchester United. It's been a bit of a running joke this season. It's not, it's not a joke. It's just, I remember when the news came out about Kobbie Mainoo coming back into training. Pictures were released of him training on grass, of him training with the first team. And I tweeted out, let me see if I can find it, actually. I'm not sure I can be bothered to look back through my tweets here, actually. No, I can't be asked. But I tweeted out, I was like, well, Kobbie Mainoo's come back. So who is it that's going to get injured tonight to balance it out? And then Casemiro gets injured, and now he's out until the new year. It really is one in and one out with Manchester United right now. We can't just have a little bit of good injury news. Luke Shaw looks like he's going to be coming back and is going to be starting training on grass and maybe becoming available in November. Really good news. Well, let's balance out that good news by the fact that we've got Rasmus Hojlund and Christian Eriksen now injured. We have a confirmation from the club yesterday saying this. Christian has got a knee injury that is set to keep him out for a month, while Rasmus, we know what happened. He suffered a bit of a hamstring strain. But when it comes to hamstrings, it's... everybody just looks at hamstring and goes, oh, it always takes longer than you think. Because if you do what Van der Ven did for Spurs and you pop your hamstring, you're out for months. Guaranteed, you're out for months. So this is why I've always found it, right? I've always found it so strange that people are booing Ten Hag taking Hojlund off. Like, come on, people. It is so obvious. It is so obvious that he is not 100% fit to complete 90 minutes, or he'd be doing it every single week. There is no way that Ten Hag wants to take Hojlund off, but what he is doing is managing his player. So you can boo all you want. It is a massive lack of football understanding and awareness. Oh, he's taking off our best player. Boo. No, man, the kid's just not 100% fit to complete 90 minutes yet. The fact that he pulls up there with a hamstring, look, it looked like it was more of a, look, they called it a strain. They didn't call it a tear. I hope that a couple of weeks rest for Rasmus Hojlund during the international break will be enough. But given the games we've got coming back, like, geez, in the first week back, we've got Everton away, Galatasaray away, and Newcastle away, if I'm correct, right? Let me quickly check the fixtures. I'm pretty sure I am. When am I ever wrong? Quite a lot of time, actually. Yeah, we've got Everton on Sunday, the 26th of November. We've got Galatasaray on the 29th of November. And then we've got on the 2nd of December, 8 p.m. on a bloody Saturday night, Newcastle away. Sam, you're saying, could it be an excuse to not play for their country? No. Both of them would absolutely want to play for Denmark, for sure. Christian Eriksen, you saw what Christian Eriksen's injury was. It was a bit of it was a weird tweak in the turf, wasn't it? Like he got his stud stuck and he opened his knee up a little bit too much, kind of an unnatural angle. I don't think we'll see Rasmus Hojlund play against Everton at all. And if there's going to be one game out of those three that Erik Ten Hag thinks, you know what, that's where I'm going to use Hojlund, then we all know what game that is. And it's going to be Galatasaray away. He has scored 5 goals in 4 games in the Champions League, and we are starving when it comes to goals. But look at this, all right? This is Man United's current injury list. This isn't exhaustive as to the course of the season. But right there, from last season, you would say, well, actually not last season. You can't say right now, if everybody was fit and available, Who would be in our starting 11? I would say one. Let me see if we can get this up here. I would say Casemiro would be in the starting 11. Martinez would be in the starting 11. Hojlund would be in the starting 11. Shaw would be in the starting 11. And Wan-Bissaka would be in the starting 11. So out of these players that are injured, right, 5 of them would be in the starting 11. Now, you might say that Christian Eriksen could be in the starting 11, right? You could say, I suppose. No, actually, no, Johnny Evans wouldn't be there, would he? I would say it's 5. You could argue more than that, but that's out of our starting 11. Man, it is insane, Man United's injury problems this season. And if you go and look at the actual list of players who, across the course of the season, have been unavailable at various points. Again, I'm laughing. It's one of those things where you laugh because you will cry. You might genuinely cry. Man United's extensive injury list is a joke, and this is the definition of it. We get one positive of Kobbie Mainoo coming back and Casemiro leaves the squad. We get one positive of Luke Shaw looking like he's coming back, and then we get Christian Eriksen and Rasmus Hojlund leaving the squad. It's like it's 1 in, 1 out. It is never 3 in, none out. Not for Erik ten Hag right now. Now, of course, we brought. I don't think this is just an unreasonable expectation here, right? Is that Gary O'Driscoll was going to come in and make a huge difference straight away. Now, if you don't remember, Gary O'Driscoll was brought in from Arsenal, headhunted from Arsenal, very highly rated. He didn't just leave Arsenal and then we just kind of went, oh, go on then, we'll have you. We headhunted him from Arsenal and he left and came to Manchester United. He's been brought in as a head of sports medicine. He has been brought in because, and this is the thing, right? I'll speak about that next, right? This injury list here, this current injury list, but Manchester United's injuries overall, okay? When it comes to, is that a picture of Ten Hag? Yeah. When it comes to Ten Hag, his style of play and the intensity of it, yeah, it definitely is contributing to the injuries. However, injuries at Manchester United have been a problem at the club for a long old time. I'm not, look, every club gets injuries, sure. But do you remember Ralph Rangnick calling it out? Do you remember it happening under Solskjaer? Do you remember it happening under previous managers too? And you know what? The hilarious. Stop clicking the wrong thing, Sam. The hilarious thing about this, Anthony Martial's name isn't on that list. In a season where we have had, it's like the injury gods have gone, well, you can have Anthony Martial being fit, but we're going to have to balance it out. So we're going to have to injure all the rest of your squad. It's a bit of a madness, really, that Martial's not part of this. I'm going to see what you're saying down here about the injuries. This is why Gary O'Driscoll was brought in. And this, for him to make a genuine change is going to take time. All right? It's like people wanting Ten Hag to come in and win the Premier League straight away. It's not how it happens. It's not how it works. I don't know how long it's going to take for O'Driscoll to, I suppose, do his own. You know how Dave Brailsford is going to come in and audit Manchester United's footballing structure and everything and see what's working and what's not working. O'Driscoll will be doing the same thing. As a head of sports medicine, he's going to have to assess the entire department and go, right, what's working and what isn't working, which will take time. And then he's going to implement his own changes and processes, which earned him such a good reputation at Arsenal. Because my word, we need it. Let's see what you're saying in the comments. That injury list is a joke. It is a joke. Paul saying injuries are caused by poor training methods, not stretching properly. Get the players to do yoga. Yeah, man, Giggs did do that. Hey, look, Paul, you can't just say, these injuries are just down to poor training methods. Is it a contributing factor? Yeah, all of these things contribute together. Manchester United playing more games than any other team in the world last season and playing it with a small squad that Erik ten Hag didn't rotate. That creates problems further down the line. A World Cup mid-season creates problems further down the line. Man United going on a pre-season tour, which involved how many countries? Eight games in like 20 days in 2 or 3 continents, and I think it was 2 continents, and like 20,000 plus air miles. That contributes to the problem. Ten Hag's intense style of play, which requires high pressing and a lot of short bursts at high intensity. That's a contributing factor. All of these things, like, and I've just mentioned all there, right? They're all contributing factors. However, what I just said there, these injury problems existed before Ten Hag. Rangnick called them out because Rangnick was trying to do a similar sort of press to what Ten Hag is doing. He goes, well, these players can't do that. So much of this squad is not fit for purpose. And by the purpose, I mean Ten Hag's actual style of play that he wants. And people keep going on about, he's got no identity, no style. You can go back and watch so much of Ajax and you can see exactly how Ten Hag wants this team to play. They just can't do it right now because a lot of them aren't fit for purpose. I mean, physically, a lot of them aren't fit for purpose. They can't handle that sort of requirement. And it's not just a Ten Hag requirement, by the way. This is the way the Premier League has gone. I've already mentioned this to you. Ball carriers, runners, the physicality of these teams now, of City, of Liverpool. Liverpool have always had that. The heavy metal football, whatever they call it with Klopp. They've always played that sort of intensity. But Joe Ten Hag bought the team, so it's his fault. Pretty sure the Ten Hag didn't buy all that team. But yeah, I've you know what I think about the transfers that we've completed under Ten Hag. There have been probably just, if not more, misses than hits. It's kind of 50-50. And for a successful revolution of a club, you can't afford to have 50-50 in the transfer market. You need to have like a 90-10 split. You're allowed a failure here or there. Ideally, you'd have no failures, right? But the injuries, it's a joke. It's an absolute joke. And I had this up here because what we're now looking at for Manchester United, I can see someone down there. Is it Steve? Steve, you gifted a membership to someone. Who was I don't know who the lucky champ was, but now you're bros for life. You're giving him a member. You got to guide him into Discord. Or her, I don't know. But look at this. Isn't this bad? Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford have had like 72 shots between them. And there's only 4 goals in the Premier League. And 3 of them have come from Bruno. You're looking at that going, whoa, my God. Someone's got to step up when Hojlund's going to be out. I say when Hojlund's going to be out. Hojlund hasn't scored in the Premier League. So technically, no one has to stand up there and say, what would you do for... Let's just speak about it now quickly. What would you do in terms of the formation going into the Everton game if we don't have Hojlund? Options you've got: Martial through the middle, Rashford through the middle. Is that pretty much all we've got? I think that's all we've got. So it's kind of one of those two. Kobbie Mainoo is a false 9. Who brought that one out? Ben, you're just making stuff up now. What youngsters do we have playing in the striker position? I mean, Joe Hugel, but I don't think he's ready yet. I personally think it's going to be Rashford. I mean, you could Richie, right? Scott McTominay is a false 9. You laugh about it. You laugh about it, but that's got far more of a possibility than Kobbie Mainoo playing there. Didn't Bruno play as a false 9? Bruno has played as a false 9 before. I don't know. We're gonna have to see what happens. Look, knowing our bloody luck, we're gonna get another 6 injuries during the international break, and we're gonna have Ten Hag playing up front with Steve McLaren as a false 9. Can't rule it out. It's Man United. But at some point, the injury woes have got to change, surely, because it is just, it's beyond a joke now. I do think that I don't know where. Well, maybe we have, maybe we haven't. The fact that we're still picking up sort of the injuries. The Ericson injury was kind of a freak injury. That was just a turn in the turf. That wasn't really to do with anything to do with his fitness, X, Y, Z. I don't think so anyway. You might say, well, if he was less fatigued, he probably could have coped with that turn, which might have some credence. But maybe Ten Hag has got to tone his training down. Maybe Ten Hag is going too hard. We've seen this, when everybody, the witch hunt was out for Erik ten Hag after we lost to City and Newcastle. And he was getting sacked and he's lost the dressing room and players are against him and blah, blah, blah. And it was at that point where they were saying that Ten Hag's training methods were too intense and that players were left feeling a little bit fatigued going into games. Maybe that is true. Maybe that is a contributing factor. But yeah, for sure, there are a lot of contributing factors. And now we've got to deal with another couple of injuries. It's a joke. Really is a joke. Somebody who won't be playing during the international break, getting a little bit of a rest, is Diogo Dalot, but not because of injury. Congratulations to him and his partner. She's expected to give birth in the next few days. So Diogo Dalot might not be playing football, but he'll be up all night. Every night. Congratulations to them. Let me see what you're saying down here. What Erik ten Hag had in mind was intense training, so the matches would seem easy. I've spoken about that before. That is the concept of training. The reason you would practice a free kick 1,000 times in training is because then when you do it in the game, you can do it subconsciously because I've done this before. It's not pressure. It's not stressful. It's the concept of training hard is you train hard so that when you play the game, you're not pushed to a limit that you haven't already gone beyond in training. Because the worst thing that can happen really is it gets to like the 85th minute of a game and you're running on zero, man. And the other team, because they've trained harder, they've pushed themselves that extra like final 3-4%, the one that burns. They push themselves past that point before in training and you haven't. Gives them the edge. They go and score the winner. And you're saying, serious note, could these injuries be strategic rather than genuine? That is the sort of conspiracy theory that that is an elite conspiracy theory. Yes, I was joking about Steve McLaren. Yes, I was joking about Steve McLaren playing for United and Erik ten Hag. I mean, I imagine that was obvious, but you never know. Now, a video I did yesterday, which I kind of been feeling like I've wanted to do it for a while, but yesterday I got it off my chest. I know that Ten Hag has caused some problems, man. I know that in these last few weeks, especially, he's made some questionable tactical decisions with the starting 11 and with how Manchester United have played. And I've had my fair criticism of Ten Hag, and I've said it. But if you look at TalkSport, if you look at Daily Mail, if you look at all of them, like they are just gunning for Ten Hag, and they are just standing there, just hoping that he drowns, and actively trying to make him drown. And that's why I did that video yesterday, because, as I said, right now, all these injuries, everything that is still going on at this football club, like we are such a mess. We are like such a bloody mess of a football club. And then you look across towards Liverpool, they've coped with Michael Edwards leaving. They've coped with some serious change, and they're probably doing better than most people expected. Behind the scenes, still significantly better than Manchester United. We're just plunged in chaos in every single aspect of everything we do. We make 1-0 wins hard and full of heartburn. We have players not apologizing to managers. We have other players. It is a chaotic circus everywhere at Manchester United. And until we have some genuine clarity on the ownership, that will never change. That will never change. But that video I did yesterday was sort of in defense of him. Throughout all this madness, we're somehow the informed team of the league. We are 1 point ahead of Newcastle, despite them scoring 17 more goals than us this season. Think about that. Honestly, I'd say that again. We are 1 point ahead of Newcastle and ahead of them in the table, and they have scored 17 more goals than us this season. Woo! In terms of the goal difference. Well, it might just be 17 more goals overall. Let me quickly check again. I did this yesterday and it made me go, nah, that can't be right. Let me quickly check. Newcastle have scored. There you go. They've scored 14 more goals than us. Right. My bad. So Newcastle have scored 14 more goals than us, but our goal difference is 17 worse off. because not only have it makes even less sense. Look at this. Newcastle have scored 14 more goals than us, and they've conceded 3 less than us. And they're 1 point behind us. You know how mad that is? That is such a weird stat. Yeah, despite all of this, despite everything that seems to be going against United, and I would say a few things in these last 4 weeks or so that have been a bit self-inflicted by Ten Hag, we are the informed team of the Premier League. We are 5 points behind a Spurs team who have had the best start to a season they have ever had. And we're 5 points behind them. That's why I wanted to do that video. It felt good. You know what I think about Erik Ten Hag, right? I think he is worth defending. I think he is the right manager for us. And I'm absolutely convinced that if he has got the staying power at our football club to survive another 2 transfer windows, I will probably say 2 summers, then I think this squad will probably be ready to compete for the top titles in terms of the depth, in terms of being able to. I think in a couple of seasons' time, we could have all these injuries here. We could have all these players out from the first team. And we'd still be able to cope with it because our squad would be in a far stronger position. I just don't know whether. Well, let's see if we can get there. But that's why I did that video, because I think Ten Hag is worth defending. My opinion. Not everyone agrees with that. And you're saying you take 26 more 1-0 wins. Hey, look, we've been all season long. We've been in just results territory, haven't we? That performance-wise, you've only got the performance-wise this season. You've got the 3-0 against Palace. You've got the first half away to Spurs. You've got the first 20 minutes against Copenhagen. That's probably where things were. You're like, wow, there you go. There's United. So what's that? Less than 2 games of football, and we're 12 games into the Premier League. We've had 4 Champions League games. We played like, what, 17, 18 games? And you can probably say across the course of it, Munich away for the first 15, 20 minutes, that was a good bit of control. But yeah, not many. Not many. But still, despite all of that, we're only 5 points off top. Of course, when we come back from the international break, we've got Everton away, Galatasaray away, Newcastle away. We've got Liverpool coming up in December. We've got Chelsea coming up as well. We can't be limping through games in those sorts of games, or you will get pumped. But look, the reason I'm defending Erik Ten Hag is you've seen sort of mad stuff like this. You've really seen some mad stuff. I don't know what this is about. It's from the ESPN saying Manchester United become frustrated by agents pushing coaches into the running for Ten Hag's position. I guarantee you, agents are feeling empowered by the sort of stuff that is spouted by TalkSport, that is spouted by the wider general media, because they do not want Manchester United to succeed, because their currency is, hey, look, I ran the People's Person website for 10 years, and truth be told, it's a massive headlines game. Being able to get the story out first is probably the most important thing. And whether or not you've got the right headline is why people come through to read your article and read your content. And that's why I find YouTube, personally now, it's why it's taken me so much longer to reach the stage we're at now. But I really like to think I don't use clickbait. Not in the same way that the wider media do. I try not to feed hysteria. Sometimes I get caught up in hysteria. I'm not perfect in any way, shape, or form. But I try to avoid that. And that's what I want United People's TV to be. Because I've been on the other side of it with the People's Person, and I've been involved in that headline game, and it's exhausting. And you instead of focusing on making like really top quality content, you just have to make content that you know people will read. And it means that you're not doing the stuff that you really, really want to do. But yeah, all these agents are now empowered to come forward. And you know what? I love the Athletic, but there was an article released on Athletic yesterday, which I found really quite strange, and it was by Mark Critchley, and it wasn't an analysis of what the game was. It was an analysis of just what Ten Hag did, like whether he stood up or whether he sat down, or whether he pointed at someone, or whether he shouted at someone, or whether he spoke to a player. It was like it's like an article which was just like a Ten Hag cam. And I found that really strange and really odd, but it's just that's the level of scrutiny. If Ten Hag left the door open when he went for a shit, there will be an article written about it, about how he flushes, about whether he stands up when he wipes. That's the level. I probably should have used a better analogy than that. Just popped into my head, but that's the sort of level of scrutiny that Erik ten Hag gets as Manchester United manager. So maybe there are articles like this for other managers, and I just haven't read them. I haven't seen it, but it's just the level of scrutiny that happens at Manchester United. We are the biggest club in England. All right, we are still, after everything, we are still one of the 3 biggest clubs in the world. It's us, Real Madrid, and Barcelona. But that's why I've Ten Hag has got me more absorbed into the everyone against United mindset that we had for so long under Fergie. And I'm fully in it. And I'm happy to take the pelters. I'm happy to sort of absorb the bullets, because I think he deserves it. I think he genuinely does deserve time. It's not just time for the sake of it. I think with the right structure in place, and with I hope to God that we get the transfers. If we don't get the next 2 transfer windows right, then I would fear for Ten Hag. And I want the responsibility of those transfer windows to be taken away from him, because that's not his strength. Lawsy, you're saying a friend of mine asked me why people hate United so much. It's just we ruin childhoods, man. And when you people waited 20 years for this, and they've now been feasting on it for 10 years. It's madness. But look, we're half an hour into the show. I want to go and talk about the main headline for today. I've waited half an hour to speak about it. Sorry about that. Anthony with the big news. Fabrizio Romano's just broken the news that Ten Hag stands up when he wipes. It's good news. Well, it's actually bad news, really. Anyway, that's a debate for maybe a slightly more informal show. But look, let's speak about Jadon Sancho. Let's get serious face on here. The Jadon Sancho situation is grim. It's been pretty grim for a long time. I don't want to get into the debate as to whether or not Ten Hag was right to say anything in public. You know my stance. I think Ten Hag did everything he possibly could behind the scenes. 3 months out of the spotlight, everything arm around the shoulder, and a response never came through. And Ten Hag, I think he's got a little bit frustrated at that point. And I think had we beaten Arsenal, that comment from Ten Hag probably would never have come out. But we did lose, and it did. So I think part of it was reactionary, but I don't think Ten Hag regrets it, because he tried to get a response from Sancho. Instead, it went the other way. And now, in my opinion, I think Jadon Sancho's exit from the club, it's an inevitability. It is inevitable. I've been thinking about The Matrix this morning randomly. Remember when The Matrix came out? It seemed like groundbreaking, but now that's old as hell. It's in 1999 the first one came out. I think it was. 99. Damn. That still stands the test of time. Matrix first one, by the way. Ooh, easily the best one. Anyway, let's speak about Jadon Sancho, because Fabrizio Romano has confirmed this yesterday. All right. He's saying that he understands that Juventus have asked for information on Jadon Sancho deal in recent days. He is set to leave United in January. Juve are interested, but only on loan, plus part of the salary covered by United. No negotiations yet, as United prefer to wait for permanent deal bids. And that's where the second bit of news comes in this morning. And that's coming from Matt Law from the Telegraph yesterday, saying that both Richarlison and Jadon Sancho are being targeted for they're being targeted by Saudi Arabia. Now, we all know that Jadon Sancho was the subject of tentative interest from Saudi clubs. We know now because of the stories that come out after. Tentative interest from Saudi clubs at the end of the transfer window, because there was a little bit of time after the whole sort of fallout between him and Ten Hag. And I think Sancho just kind of rejected and pushed it away. On paper, I think a lot of you let me know what would you like to see happen? Maybe not what you like to see. What do you think will happen with Jadon Sancho in January? We've got some options here. You've got him leaving to join Juventus, whether on loan or a permanent deal. And you know what Juve do. Juve have become the kings of the charity shop basket. What players are available for free? What players are available? We'll take you. We'll take you as well. And they're probably going to try it again with Jadon Sancho. Then you got Saudi Arabia. Free spending. However, this is the crux of it for me. In my opinion, the best thing for Manchester United is to sell Jadon Sancho to a club from Saudi Arabia. We would get north of 40 million. And that's the thing. When you sign players who are not just over the age of bloody 30, you have resale value. So by the time you do sell them, if we pay what, 72.5 million for Sancho, if we sell him for 40, that's a loss, but that's a loss you can probably swallow. However, this is the thing, right? You remember what happened with Harry Maguire during the summer. Manchester United agreed a deal with West Ham, 30 million. And Harry Maguire said, no, I don't want to go there. Not unless you pay me this. We didn't agree on the payout, on the contract. Harry Maguire stayed. Do you type yes or no in the comments? Do you think Jadon Sancho would block a move to Saudi Arabia if a Saudi Arabia club came in and Manchester United were to accept the bid? Because I think he would. Judging by what's happened so far, judging by the fact that Maguire was able to do it with West Ham, I don't think Jadon Sancho would want to go to Saudi Arabia. I might be wrong there completely, by the way. Might be wrong there completely. Money may well be the biggest priority for Jadon Sancho. Let me see what you're saying down there in the comments. Mark, you're saying he would block it. Daz, you're saying he'd stay in Europe. Mazzy, you think he would block it. Robert, you're saying he would go there. He would jump there. My gut feeling is that I'd be concerned that Jadon Sancho would kind of actively block a move to Saudi Arabia if we were to agree a deal. And looking at this, is this something that really suits Manchester United? No, this would be if you give me two options of keep Sancho for the rest of the season or loan Sancho to Juventus whilst paying half his wages, then yeah, you know what my opinion is. There's only one. Well, it's far better that United move Sancho on rather than keep him at the club. But the absolute best case scenario is we can sell Sancho and sign someone, because this January transfer window, we'll have a little conversation around it now. We need to do business, man. Sancho hasn't performed when given the chances. You know what I think about Sancho overall, Jordan. It's a real shame and a disappointment. You know what I'm going to do today, actually? I'm going to, Wesley, you sent a super chat, dude, but you haven't sent anything in. Try and send in a normal comment. I'll try and read that out. I'm going to do a short video today. It's going to go out on TikTok and Instagram. I'm going to rank Manchester United's 10 most expensive transfers ever. And mate, when you read the list, you're like, my God, have we wasted money as a football club? Your top 10 most expensive signings ever should include some of the best players to have played for your football club. But it is is bleak. It is a bleak list. That is all I'm going to say to you. And you're saying if his priority was playing, I'd say block it. But what is his priority? And this is the thing, right? This is the thing that we can only speculate on until the window comes around. My gut instinct would be that Sancho would likely block a move to Saudi Arabia, that he would rather play in somewhere like Juventus and stay inside Europe's top 5 leagues. But it might just not be the priority for Sancho anymore. Going over to a really hot as hell climate, living a good life, living an even better life, well, financially than he currently is. Would that be worth it? He may well. And look, when it comes to the Saudi league, and I said this before, and the fact that Saudi Arabia now has the World Cup coming up, 2034. This Saudi Arabia league is not going to disappear like the Chinese Super League did, right? You know how they just signed everyone. They signed Hulk. They signed Oscar. Fellaini went over there. There was a few players in their prime. There was a guy from Porto. I think there was a guy from Porto as well. I can't remember his name. It wasn't Hulk. It wasn't Hulk. It was another guy. Damn it. Can't remember his name. Anyway, they had a few good players, but it didn't really go to the levels that maybe people thought it was going to go to. This Saudi league will. It's happening. Every single summer now, the players going to Saudi Arabia is just going to get better, get younger. Odi Nagalo gave an interview where he spoke about how he rejected a move to Saudi Arabia, and then they just came back with more money, and he said no. And then they came back with more money, and he said no. And then they came back with more money. And he's like, can I really say no to this? But he made that choice, and it was the right choice for him as far as his career was concerned at that point in time. But these Saudi clubs are not going anywhere. They are going to keep trying to sweep up as many players as possible in the build-up to this. That's what I mean. We've now got a World Cup coming in Saudi Arabia in 9 years. So every single season, they're just going to want that league to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until all of a sudden this Saudi league has got so many. Jackson Martinez, thank you very much. That's the name, Daniel. So big with so many players in it that they can consider themselves competing with Europe, some of Europe's top 5 leagues in terms of the names they've got there and in terms of the level of football that's there. It's all part of the modern game I do not like. But it's a part of the modern game that has been allowed by the ownership of clubs and by the influx of cash into Europe's top 5 leagues. And they can't stop it now. This Saudi train is going nowhere. So if Sancho looks at it from that point of view, then he might just make the jump to Saudi Arabia in January and go, you know what? All right, that didn't work out, United. Let's move on. And he's young enough that he could go and spend 3 years there and then what? Still only be 26? Is he 23 now? Let's have a look. In Sancho. 23, man. He could go and spend 3 years in Saudi Arabia, make an absolute bucket load, come back at 26 as like a seasoned professional and enjoy like 3-4 years technically at his peak back in Europe. Easily doable. If money's his priority, well, he's definitely going over there. And in my opinion, it would suit Manchester United to sell Jadon Sancho to Saudi Arabia and be able to reinvest that money. Because, as I said, when it comes to this January transfer window, I'll ask you in the comments now, you're only allowed to choose one. If you were to sign a player in one position in January, where would you sign that player? One position. I'm not saying that we can't sign more than one player. Because maybe we will. I don't really know what's going on with the ownership. But if you were to choose one position that you want Manchester United to strengthen in January, which position are you going for? Let me see what you're saying in the comments down here. Mania and Kelechi and Kieran and Gerald, you're all saying centre-back. Stephen, you're saying centre-back. Dan, you're saying a striker to help Rasmus. Graham, you're going for a right wing. So is Vanna. Robert and Giles, you're saying centre-back. Jonathan and Daniel, you're saying striker. And Dean, you're saying striker. Lots of you are saying strikers and lots of you are saying centre-backs. They're the two main ones. Ben, you're saying central defensive midfielder. Trust me, United, it's kind of a hard question because we need more than one player. in more than one position, I would personally go for a centre back. I think, yeah, it would be a close call between a centre back and a centre forward. And this is what I mean. In an ideal situation, we would get both because I think we really do need both. I would personally go for a centre back. I think our defensive problems have been so bad. We need somebody in there that's a Martinez. We just don't have it in our current squad. And Erik ten Hag's entire system is built on having athletic, press-resistant, progressive centre-backs who can play in a high line. We don't have them, right? I know we need centre-forwards as well, right? That's what I mean. I think in an ideal situation here, right? Manchester United, we go and get 40 million for Jadon Sancho, and that money is genuinely reinvested. 40 million is probably going to, I don't know how much Todibo will be worth. We could have got Todibo for less than 40 million in the summer, but he's gone on to have an absolute stonking season with Nice, and they're now second, I believe, behind PSG. But yeah, I think you're all right. We need a striker as well. It's going to be an interesting one. It really is. Centre back, centre forward, ideally both, maybe neither. Depends what's going on with the ownership. Wesley, you're saying I think he should stay, but I'll be gutted if he leaves. I won't be, dude. Can I ask you a question here? And just be truthful, right? At any point over these last 4 weeks, 4 to 6, we've had a rough 4 to 6 weeks as far as performances go. We've got some good results, yeah, but we've had some bad ones in there. Has anybody in these last 4 to 6 weeks gone, if only we had Jadon Sancho? I wish Jadon Sancho was available. Just be truthful. I'm not saying that in a spiteful fashion. I'm just saying, has anybody at any point gone, man, we miss Jadon Sancho, don't we? And I think that the sad truth is that not many of us have. And just that's Jadon Sancho's sort of impact at this club is kind of summed up as. It's like we don't even miss him when he's not there. I don't know. Very, very sad indeed. But also just another spectacular failure when it comes to Manchester United's most expensive signings ever. As I said, I'm going to do that as my little short video today. I wonder what I'll do as my lunchtime video. I was going to do a video today. I've got my little schedule up there. I'm a little bit professional sometimes, honestly, I know. Beggars belief. I was going to do a video today on the top 10 signings that Paul Mitchell's ever made. But I'm actually going to hold out on that video for a little bit further down the line when we have a little bit more concrete more concrete news on him being an ideal candidate for the sporting director role. A video that is coming out this week, which I think you'll really enjoy, is like a real sort of deep dive into Jean-Claude Blanc. Everything that he's done before Juventus, everything he's done with Juventus, everything he's done at PSG, and everything he has been doing at Ineos. That'll be a good one. But look, thank you everyone for tuning in today. A nice little conversation, I think it was. If you can, I always forget to do this. Please drop a like on the video now. So many of you watch, but so many of you forget to like the video. It makes a big difference. It shows YouTube that, you actually do enjoy the content. But thank you all for joining in. I'll be here at lunchtime today. I'll be here tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. as I am Monday to Friday. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a cracking day. Take it easy.